Hello everyone, and welcome to our virtual class. My name is Evelina Zbancă, and today I'm going to spend some time with you. Today, we are going to pass to Unit 2, Lesson 3 from the English textbook English for You. And today we'll be tackling the topic jobs. Have you ever thought of your career? If no, today you'll have the greatest possibility. So, let's start. Today we're going to enrich the vocabulary on the topic jobs, mind the pronunciation of some words related to the topic, speak about the job you'd like to embrace, learn some lingers to be used for bringing arguments in a coherent paragraph, listen to a text and work with it, read the text and answer the questions on its basis. So, what jobs can you see in the photos? An entrepreneur, a nutritionist, a software developer, a lawyer, a physician, a civil engineer, a sales representative, a civil servant, a surgeon, an accountant, a plumber, a security guard. If these are your answers, you are right. So, the first picture represents a software developer, the second picture represents a plumber, the next picture represents some civil engineers, the next picture represents some entrepreneurs, the next picture represents a nutritionist, the next picture represents an engineer. Now, the following task is match these definitions with the following words: to risk their lives, to take orders, to install software, to build bridges and buildings, to carry out a surgery, to translate simultaneously, to consult patients, to keep track of money, to negotiate a price, to work for the government, to fight for someone's rights, to maintain the plumbing. You can pause the slide and do this exercise yourself. Now, let us work together as to check your answers. What does an interpreter do? Yes, right, he translates simultaneously. What is required from a nutritionist? A nutritionist should consult patients and prescribe a particular diet. Let us continue checking answers. Who risked their lives saving the others? A security guard, you may say, and you are right. Who is a physician? A physician, medical practitioner, is a professional who practices medicine, which is concerned with promoting, maintaining, or restoring health through the study, diagnosis, prognosis, and makes the treatment of disease, injury, and other physical disorders. He might be the person who takes orders from the other doctors as well. Whose job is to install software? A software developer's job. Right. Whose job is to build bridges and buildings? An engineer's job. You are right. Whose job is to carry out a surgery? A surgeon's job. Yes. Now, what might be required from an accountant? He must keep track of money. What might be required from a sales representative? He must negotiate a price. What might be required from a civil servant? He must work for the government. What is the lawyer's job? So, what is the lawyer's job? He must fight for the people's rights. What must a plumber do? He must maintain the plumbing. If your answers are like this, so you did your best. Now, mind your pronunciation. You can pause the slide and repeat after me. Company, drawing, employee, employer, government, guard, hire, install, maintain, nutritionist, physician, plumber, simultaneously, software, surgeon. Good. So, now I suggest some speaking and writing activities. Do you know anyone who does any of these jobs? Do they enjoy their job? Why? I think you can do this exercise independently. So, let us do it. You can pause the slide and do it yourself. Which of these jobs do you admire? Which of these jobs would you like to do? Bring some arguments. Which of these jobs could you never do? Bring at least 2 arguments as well. Now let us go to speaking, or let us continue speaking. Choose one topic from below, think about it, and take notes of what you will say. Would you ever work for no money? Why? Why not? Would you choose a job that you would enjoy, or a job that would pay well? Bring 2 arguments. Pause the slide, take a pen, and jot everything down. I trust you. Do you want to have a job with flexible hours or a fixed schedule? Bring at least 2 arguments. You can't do without them. While answering these questions, you should use some linkers. If you start with a topic sentence, you should start with out of the 2, I would choose 2, or I'd prefer 2. For bringing the first argument, you can choose the linker first of all, because. For bringing the second argument, you can choose then. For bringing the second or the third argument, you can choose the linker finally. Or personally, I'd enjoy. You can also come with a concluding sentence. So, here is something that I would present to you, and if you follow my advice, you'll have a perfect structured paragraph. One of the 2 I would choose 2. First of all, because. Then, because. You can pause the slide and write everything down in your copybook. I wish you great success. Now, a listening task, please. But before listening, try to guess the responses. What do you do? Where do you work? Doing what? How long have you been working for this company? What are the hours like then? Now you have to match all these questions with responses like I develop applications. I am an application developer. I work for an IT company. It must be 7 years already. I have a flexible schedule. Now, listen to the text.
Unit 2, Lesson 4. Welcome back to You Are in Charge. Today, we are discussing professions and how people choose their jobs. Our guest is Tim Barton, and let's listen to how Tim got his job. Welcome, Tim. So, where do you work?
I work for an IT company.
And what do you do?
I am an application developer.
Wow, doing what?
I develop applications. You know, for instance, a taxi company ordered an application that would connect the taxi drivers and the clients. I developed it and I maintain it. I develop the updates.
What are the hours like then?
Now that's an interesting question. I have a flexible schedule. The company monitors just my results, so I have to do a lot of time management. I decide when I come to work and when I leave.
And is it easy to manage your time?
I learned to manage my time when I was in school, so for me it's easy to set priorities and to reach goals.
That sounds interesting. Why did you choose this job?
Well, at school I was fond of drawings. I drew a lot and I thought that I could become a designer, but later on I discovered web design and decided to become a web designer, and I chose to study informational technology at the university.
When did you decide to develop applications?
I don't really know the exact moment, but I took a class on software design and I got interested in it.
And how long have you been working for this company?
Let me see. I joined the company when I was 26, so it must be 7 years already.
Was this your first job?
No. First I was a sales representative. My salary was quite impressive, but I just hated selling things, so I decided to give up my job.
Do you want to change your job?
I don't know for sure, but if somebody offers me a job that will be more interesting than the present one, I'll probably accept it.
That's interesting. Thank you, Tim, for sharing your experience.
Oh, thank you. It was my pleasure.
So, after the first listening, you may check your answers. What do you do? I'm an application developer. Where do you work? I work for an IT company. Doing what? I develop applications. How long have you been working for this company? It must be 7 years already. What are the hours like then? I have a flexible schedule. Let us continue. Yes, you did it. Listen to the second time and decide if the following statements are true or false. For listening, you may turn one slide back and do it consciously well. I really trust you. So after you do this listening, it's high time for you to check the answers. Tim's working on application for a taxi company. True, false. Tim's passion was drawing. Choose. Either it's true or false. He learned to manage his time on the job. True or false. Tim's first job was a web designer. True or false. Tim gave up his first job because he didn't like it. Is this true or false? Mark it. Tim might change his job. Is this true or false? Now, it's high time for you to check your answers. Tim's working on an application for a taxi company. True. He developed an application that connects the taxi driver with the clients. He developed it and maintains it. Tim's passion was drawing. True. If your answer is like this one, you are right. He drew a lot and thought that he could become a designer. He learned to manage his time on the job. This is false. He learned to manage his time when he was in school. By the way, are you learning to manage your time well? Then he learned how to set priorities and to reach goals. Let us continue. Tim's first job was a web designer. False. First, he was a sales representative. Tim gave up his first job because he didn't like it. It's true. He didn't like to be a sales representative as he didn't like selling things. Tim might change his job. It's true. If someone offers him a job that will be more interesting than at the present moment, he might accept it. Now, if you have done everything, I suggest reading. Read the text and answer the questions. Joshua has a job. He works for Google as a software developer. Google is his employer. This company hired him in 2012. Joshua's boss thinks that he is an excellent employee. Therefore, Joshua is a trainer for new employees. His trainees are young people who just graduated from the university. Joshua's best trainees are Jacob and Emma. Joshua hopes that Jacob and Emma will become his colleagues after the training. So, if you have read the text, it's high time for you to answer the questions. So, who is Joshua's employer? What does Joshua do? Who are Joshua's trainees? Who is Joshua for Emma? Who is Emma for Joshua? Have a look at the text vocabulary as well, because I'd like to teach you some important vocabulary today, like employer, be careful, a person or organization that employs people. Employee, this is a person employed for wages or salary, especially at non-executive level. And to hire means to employ someone for wages or salary. If you have done all this, if you have learned and memorized the vocabulary, you can check your answers. So, let us check. Who is Joshua's employer? Google is his employer. What does Joshua do? He works for Google. Who are Joshua's trainees? Young people who have just graduated from the university. Who is Joshua for Emma? Joshua is her trainer. Who is Emma for Joshua? Emma is Joshua's trainee. If your answers are these ones, you are right, and you really did a great job. Let us continue. You may pause the slide and write the answers of these questions. So, read the sentence and answer these questions. James is a civil servant. Who employed James? The university hired Dan. Who is Anne's employer? Sam is trained by Dan Swift. Who does Dan train? Jordan works for a food company. Who hired Jordan? Dorian Clark hired Mark James. Who is the employee? Who is the employer? So I really believe you can do it. And if you have done everything well, it's time for you to check the answers. The government employed James. The university is Anne's employer. Dan trains Sam. The food company hired Jordan. Dorian Clark is the employer. Mark James is the employee. I'm really proud of you if your answers are like this. Now let us continue with the next slide. But unfortunately, it's all over for today. What have you learned? Today, you have learned the names of some jobs, have enriched the vocabulary, have spoken about the activities of people who have different jobs, have learned how to bring coherence in a paragraph, and have learned some expressions that can be used to achieve this. And we have spoken about the job that you would prefer to take up. I hope you enjoyed the lesson and have done all that has been required from you. Stay healthy, stay safe, and see you soon. Bye.